General Gallant, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. This plan to strike Iran has been in the works for years, and we know a good portion of that has been with your involvement as well. The opening strike was no doubt a massive blow to the Iranian regime, but can you be certain that the nuclear program itself has been set back significantly from what we've seen thus far?
Iran is in its weakest point, and they are very close to possess nuclear weapon. And they already enrich uranium to 60%. It's a question of, I would say, few weeks to enrich uranium for 8 bombs to the level of 90%. This is very dangerous, not only to Israel, but also to the region and the world. Imagine that one of these ballistic missiles, that hundreds of them were shot against Israel recently, would have been equipped with a nuclear warhead. And let me remind you that they can reach not only Israel, but also Egypt and Turkey and Greece and some of Eastern Europe and definitely the other side, Pakistan and other places, and they have shown it already. So a nuclear weapon in the hands of irresponsible regime is a very dangerous thing. This is a danger to the world. And the conditions that we achieved recently are good enough to start. And I think that we already were taking the Iranians years backward by what we did recently in the last few days.
Do you think just the actions that Israel has taken in striking some of these nuclear sites and facilities like Natanz, you think that has set back Iran's nuclear program for years?
For a few years, yes. I think that Natanz by itself is a major site. You know, I had the privilege to present the American president 22 years ago what's going on the ground when they started to establish these sites in Natanz. I was the military secretary for the late Prime Minister Sharon, and in his presence and under his order, I presented to President Bush, and Vice President Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, and eventually the president said, it was 2003. He said, we will not allow Iran to possess nuclear weapon ever. And it was reiterated by all the American presidents up to President Trump. And I think that it's time to act. Time for action is now.
So you mentioned Natanz. Isfahan is another site that we know Israel has attacked. But one concern is the facility that remains very impenetrable per intelligence, and that is Fordo. And the concern is that without it actually being eliminated, that Iran could in turn accelerate its nuclear program. It appears the Iranian parliament just today voted to withdraw from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. How much does that concern you if, after all of this is said and done, Fordo remains intact?
I believe that the United States of America and the President of the United States have an obligation to make sure that the region is going to a positive way and that the world is free from Iran that possessed nuclear weapon in the middle of the richest place in oil and gas in the world. This could be a disaster for the world. And I believe that the determination of the American president that have been shown recently will pave the way to America to enter into this very important operation. The President of the United States have the option to change the Middle East and influence the war and influence the world, not only the war, in order to do something that will create a better future for all of us.
You have said as much on Israeli television. Recently you said that Israel needs the U.S. On its side to completely eliminate the nuclear program. Given that, do you think that Prime Minister Netanyahu would have given the go-ahead on this operation if he didn't have the explicit commitment from President Trump that at the end of the day, if need be, the United States would join in on this operation, in this war, to go after nuclear sites that only the United States has a capability to, and I'm specifically referencing Fordo?
Well, we needed 4 different conditions in order to launch the attack. The first 3 have been achieved in my term in September and October. The first one was to eliminate Hezbollah. The second one was to eliminate the air defense in Iran and especially around Tehran and start to create the corridor that allow Israel to go directly to Tehran and hit them. The third one was to cut the chain of supply by destroying the manufacture capability of ballistic missiles in Iran. All this was achieved in September, October 24. But we stayed with the last condition. And the last condition was the approval of the United States to Israel at the right time. And I'm sure that all these issues were discussed between the Prime Minister and the President.
So again, given the high level of meetings that you've had with U.S. officials in your time as Minister of Defense, and given the amount of time that you participated in planning for this operation, is it your belief then that this would not have happened, that Israel would not have launched this war without the commitment that the United States, if need be, would join as well? Is the ultimate goal here to eliminate Iran's nuclear program with the United States assisting Israel?
Well, we are after the beginning of the war. The resolution has been made, and there is only one option now, to go forward and to accomplish the job. The job has to be done by Israel, by the United States, by the free world. We don't see why Iran need civilian nuclear energy. They possess 11% of the oil and gas reserve in the world. Why do they need any kind of nuclear energy? And the reason is different. They want to possess nuclear weapon in order to create hegemony in the Middle East, to threaten everybody around them, including Israel, but not only Israel. It's Europe, it's the Gulf state. They want to create something different, and they want to control the Middle East as they control their own people as a brutal regime. We are not going to allow that to happen.